Welcome to another edition of the Backyard Professor videos. I'm Kerry Schertz, the Backyard Professor. I'm once again arguing against the argument that I believe is uninformed, that there's nothing in favor of the Book of Mormon, historically or archaeologically. I think that argument is false. And I have, as way of further evidence, I've already presented a few videos, and I've got this one, and I've got many, many more I can share and will share, on a vast amount of research that's been being done on the Book of Mormon over the last, say 100 years anyway, but very intensely over the last 30 years. This particular book I'm looking through is Echoes and Evidences of the Book of Mormon. It's edited by Donald W. Perry, the International Dead Sea Scroll Hebraic scholar out of BYU, and Daniel C. Peterson, the Islamic scholar out of BYU, and John W. Welch, the scholar of legalities and law at the BYU Law Center. This book is published, let me see if I can get the year here for you, 2002, so it's not that old. It's over 500 pages of material here that they are assessing the various types of evidence for the Book of Mormon. And I want to read just one part of this. Beginning on page 210, they notice on the ancient Near Eastern origins of the Book of Mormon, the name Alma, the male Jewish name. Now this used to be made fun of until recent archaeological evidence over the last 30 years has discovered that Alma is a genuine, ancient, authentic, Jewish male name. Yigal Yadin, in his arguments in his discussions of the Bar Kokhba documents, showed, and he shows the document in that. I have that source not with me because I'm out here in my backyard. But he shows that document where he translates it as Alma, the son of Judah. Very interesting. They say the two male characters named Alma appear in the Book of Mormon, and of course this seems to run counter to what we might expect. If Joseph knew the name Alma at all from his environment, it's highly likely that he would have used it as the Latinate woman's name rather than a masculine male name. Everyone's familiar with the Latin phrase alma mater, which means beneficent mother. That was in Joseph Smith's environment in his day. In the 1820s and 30s, Alma as a male Jewish name simply was not understood. It has now been discovered to be that. It is a Semitic masculine plural name, personal name, in the ancient Near East. How did Joseph Smith know this? Where could he have gotten it from? Quite simply, so far as the modern scholarship has been able to determine, he could not have known it from any source existing in his frontier American environment. It simply isn't there as a male Jewish name. The Book of Mormon's use of Alma as a man's name has occasioned considerable amusement by the uninformed critics through the years. But now it's been found to be authentic. It's the same principle with this land of Jerusalem. This prophecy in Alma 7 verse 10, predicting that Jesus shall be born of Mary at Jerusalem, which is the land of our forefathers. As everyone who knows anything at all about Christianity also knows, Jesus was born in the little town of Bethlehem, that's 6 miles outside of Jerusalem. However, although identifying a land of Jerusalem as the birthplace of Jesus, this would have seemed an obvious mistake for anyone in Joseph Smith's day. It's now plain that Jerusalem, or that Bethlehem, could be, and indeed anciently was regarded as an area in the land of Jerusalem. A recently released text from the Dead Sea Scrolls, for example, a text claiming to have originated in the days of Jeremiah, and see, so this is back in Lehi's day because they were contemporaries. The Book of Mormon begins about 600 BC. Says that the Jews of this period were taken captive from the land of Jerusalem. Now I have that Dead Sea Scroll text as well, and it does say that. It reflects an authentic usage of geography back in the Jerusalem area. Texts discovered earlier in the 20th century seem to include Bethlehem within this geographical region that they identify as the land of Jerusalem, precisely as the Book of Mormon does so. Joseph is also being able to do, he deduced from his Bible some complex patterns associated with the calling of prophets first, and now this same situation arises with modern scholarship. They're beginning to realize there's a lot more to the Bible than we've even thought, and they've been combing it now for centuries. Joseph Smith gathered a lot of this materials that just happened to be patterns in the Bible as well. They appear in the Book of Mormon, very powerfully so. Indeed, they appear clearer in the Book of Mormon than they do in the Bible. The land of Jerusalem is not mentioned in the Bible. Lehi's vision of God. This is another angle that is extremely interesting and has come to the fore in ancient Near Eastern studies. With his accompanying prophetic call, this is a typical situation recorded in ancient literature where visionaries are taken to heaven and they see God surrounded by numerous concourses of angels. Nephi records Lehi's vision in the first chapter. Overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision, even that he saw the heavens open, and he saw God appeared by sitting on his throne, and he was surrounded with numerous concourses of angels in the attitude of singing and praising their God. This is a vision of the divine council. This divine council has now come out very powerfully in the studies of the ancient Near East. The Hebrew word sod, this denotes the council and the information that the council gives to the prophet. The prophet visits the council of God. God reveals his secrets, the sod, to his servants, the prophets. This is the famous Amos passage, Amos 3:7, where he says, once the prophets visit the council of God and they hear the decrees of God, then they come back down to earth and proclaim the decrees of God from that divine council onto the earth people. And it's up to us whether we're going to listen to those prophets or not. But Amos is quite powerfully declarative when he says, God will do nothing except he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets. Those three instances, Alma, the male Jew, the land of Jerusalem, and the surrounding environs, which include Bethlehem in the ancient texts, as well as the Book of Mormon, and Lehi's divine vision of the divine heavenly council, now found to be a standard ancient Near Eastern typical situation. These three areas refute that naive argument that there's nothing in favor of the Book of Mormon archaeologically or historically. That argument is simply false.